Geek Out!
3, 2. Pinky's up. Time for another Geek Out book club. I'm Sam. This time around, it's just me. All of our guys, I think, have been on the road this week, so I was kind of the only one that kind of had a chance to look over this. We've got people all over the four corners of the country. We've got Jake's off in Seattle, Chris is off in New York City, and Josh is off in South Carolina, and I'm here. But I just got back from WonderCon in Los Angeles, I got a chance to read House of Penance #1 by Peter Tomasi and Ian Bertram. That's a Dark Horse Comics book. The first issue comes out on Wednesday, April 13th, which is the day after this thing posts. So, definitely check that out tomorrow in comic book shops everywhere or on Comixology. It's really cool because Tomasi, for the most part, I've always identified as a DC Comics writer. He had written Justice Society of America right when Thy Kingdom Come was ramping up. He wrote some of the one-shots. He did some really good work with the Batman and Robin series coming in the New 52. He's writing the Detective Comics coming out of the New 52, and then into Rebirth. I believe he's doing either Superman or Action Comics. But let's talk about House of Penance. House of Penance is not a superhero book at all. This thing is kind of like a historical horror. And you look at that cover, and it's very much kind of like an somehow even more gothic Lizzie Borden. And if you've never heard the Lizzie Borden rhyme, they gave her mother 40 whacks and gave her sister 41 or something to that effect. Father, right? And so it really focuses on the Winchester house, which is a kind of a real fixture in American haunted history. The idea that the Winchester family that created the rifle and the firearms of the same name were haunted by the ghosts of everyone killed by their firearms, and so Lady Winchester built a house that she had to keep constantly adding construction and adding endless or fake hallways and fake doors and stuff and weird passageways and secret staircases and everything to kind of confuse the ghosts. And it kind of gets into that mythology, but it's rooted in that historical sensibility, but it's very much kind of goes its own way. And I really feel like, let's just say that the mistress of the Winchester household crossed paths with a very mysterious figure that really kind of deepens the connection to the occult. That's where of course the fictional aspect of this really takes off, and it really is kind of an engrossing read, especially if you're into that sort of history and just a horror fan in general, really. And it's really cool to see Tomasi do something that isn't. I mean, he does a fine job with Flights and Tights. I think his Batman and Robin was toe to toe with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman, so he certainly can do the superhero stuff. But it's really cool to see him go in a different direction too, especially like historical horror. Now, in terms of the art, Bertram's art really reminds me of Frank Quitely's art. If you don't know who Frank Quitely is, he did the, I guess right now he's doing Jupiter's Legacy over at Image Comics with Mark Miller. He did All-Star Superman and some of the new X-Men with Grant Morrison. He did Nameless with Grant Morrison, but it has that kind of, it's definitely kind of like, there's definitely a cartoon quality to it, but there's something a little more grounded about it, especially when those moments of violence and there's a lot of dark imagery, as the title would suggest. A lot of, whoever the inker is on this, he's definitely got his work cut out for him, because a lot of blacks, a lot of dark colors, a lot of shadows, a lot of dark lighting work. And then, of course, you've got the unimitatable Dave Stewart coloring this thing. So, and he's as far as colors go, he's a legend in the industry. So it's kind of like a little all-star book that Dark Horse is putting out, but it's a really dark, fun, twisted book. So if you really dig historical horror, if you really dig Peter Tomasi's writing and want to see him kind of do something that isn't Flights and Tights and not Black Beetle, which is something he also did, and again, Bertram's art, which kind of, again, channels Frank Quitely's art, but kind of more macabre and more darker, even darker than Nameless, which was a horror book that Quitely did. Definitely check out House of Penance, #1, again, out in comic shops everywhere and on Comixology tomorrow, which is April 13th. All right, well, this has been another Geek Out commentary. I'm Sam. Keep reading. This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.